The Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by Fanduel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
All right, it's another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. He is Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue. It's that time of the week to catch up with the Celtics, the NBA. We're wrapping up the regular season at this point, right, Max? Not a whole lot of games left. So with that being said, we're going to go through some of the NBA awards. We'll also talk about what the Celtics have been doing lately. We'll get Max's take on this whole Caitlin Clark situation and all that. We'll say that for the end, though. I mean, everyone's had their opinions at this point, so we got to hear Max's, right? But like I said, first things first, let's talk about the Celtics, what they've been doing lately. I mean, it looks like they're going to cement that number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And this episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by Fanduel. Head over to fanduel.com/Boston if you haven't already. All right, if you guys don't know, Fanduel's in Massachusetts. You can win $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Head to fanduel.com/Boston, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the show. But first things first, Max, the Celtics, they won their first matchup against the Toronto Raptors. They still got one more left, 2 games left, right, for this weekend to wrap this thing up. But it looks like they're going to cement this 2 seed. And Max, how are we feeling about this Celtics team? Because, you know, they're coming back from the road. They came back from a loss in Philly, a 52-point, a heck of a performance from the MVP and Joel Embiid, if you ask me. I'm sure we'll pick up that conversation later on. But, Max, how are you feeling about this Celtics team going into the playoffs at the number 2 seed?
If they're playing very good teams, I'm feeling very good about them. If they're playing teams that are below them, I get nervous because they have played down to the level of competition. We saw that with Houston. We saw that with Salt Lake. We saw that with the Wizards in Washington. And then you turn around and you blow Milwaukee out. That would be my example of a team that, you know, that plays championship teams maintain a certain level. And the inconsistency of this team on that side has been the one thing that I look at. They've had an outstanding year. This is an outstanding year, but it depends on, to me, who they play. If they play Atlanta, they might struggle. If they play Miami, Jimmy Butler is giving them fits. So it depends on who they match up with in the playoff race once it gets really going.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 teams are certainly options, right? After recording this, I mean, Celtics, again, they've cemented the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. But right now, I mean, Miami looks to be the first round opponent. That could change in the near future, right? Could be Atlanta, even Toronto has a chance, right? So yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you're wondering which team's going to show up, you know. And when I say that, I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna go out and say, like, man, this team, because of what we've seen, can go out there and blow it in the first round. But if a team like the Hawks or the Bulls or the Heat force a game 7, I mean, you can't help but wonder, what does that do for a team in the long run? A team that's trying to make it back to the NBA Finals, you know, less than a year after making that deep playoff run. I mean, so one thing we learned about that run is that it was exhausting, especially for guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
I think that it is that when you talk about, but I think maybe the one saving grace, and I'm sure right now our listeners are saying the same thing to me. It's like, okay, Max, have they played with their complete roster? When's the last time you saw them walk out with Rob and have Horford and have going down the line with the people that had Brogdon? When have you seen that? And that's what I think you'll get in the playoffs. The only thing that will bother me is, since they haven't played much together, how well will they play? When have you the best lineup that they had last year at the end of the year was when Rob was on the floor playing with Al Horford, Tatum, Brown, Marcus Smart. That was a lineup that just gave people fits. But we haven't seen that. I don't even know if we've seen that this year. We've seen that. But now that you have more options, when you have Derek White, you have Brogdon playing well, there's some things right now on the consistency side that I look at and I go, man, this is something that's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes you confident, right? I mean, if you don't have those guys, you're wondering, man, which team's going to really show up here? I mean, if you look at Brogdon and Derek White, and you're seeing them find that consistency since the post All-Star break, it's relevant for sure. I mean, because we don't know which version of Rob's going to show up, and I do believe that, you know, that's very important, especially on the defensive end of the floor. You know, what this team is like when he's playing at a particular level, especially if we're talking about these top tier teams. But Max, are you afraid that they could actually there could be some sort of a first round upset against a team like the Hawks or the Heat or the Raptors?
It really wouldn't surprise me with this team. This team is and it wouldn't surprise me if they win the championship. And I know people saying you're talking out of both sides of your neck. Well, that's because I've seen this team play like that this year. When they're playing their best basketball, they have been lights out, the best team in the league. But then we've seen really a lot of times when they played the Washington Wizards, they played the Houston Rockets, they played Orlando, came in here twice early in the season and beat them. So I just want to know, what version of this team are you going to see in the playoffs? That's going to tell me how far this team is going to go, or they won't go.
Yeah, especially in their offensive approach too, right, Max? I mean, if most of this playoff run is Jaylen and Tatum taking turns of taking over the game, I don't like that recipe, right? I like when the ball when they're sharing the ball and guys are, 5-6 guys scoring in double figures. I mean, we know it's gonna be a tight rotation. I mean, Joe Mazzulla has already shown us that ever since the All-Star break, if you ask me, with these 8, sometimes 9-man rotation. But I mean, this team's good enough to pull it off with that in that regard, right? In that space. However, you wonder what's going to happen if they run into those hurdles where the offense just completely comes up dry, and all of a sudden Tatum and Brown trying to shoot their way into a win.
Well, I think that other players you talk about who could be available that would help you out would be Grant Williams, who's had early on this year, he was really great. But then the middle part of the year, Grant he's been inconsistent because maybe not the minutes he was getting. So but I tell you what, Joe Mazzulla has a lot of weapons. He has a lot of options. You have two of the best players right now. If they're talking about wing players, this is the best 2-wing combo that you think about in the NBA right now, and Brown and Tatum. So I like their chances. They have great defenders at the initial point of attack. Derek White has been unreal. Derek White leads the league in block shots from the guard position. And so with him and Marcus and you just go down the line, this team is, when they're playing right, they are fun to watch and they are dangerous.
Is there a preference out of those 3 teams that you would like to see the Celtics play against? I mean, is there a team that's the weakest link out of those 3 that you?
Let's go with the most dangerous team. The most dangerous team to me is down in South Florida, and that would be the Miami Heat, because of one Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has been one of in the big games on the big stage. Jimmy Butler has been the most dangerous man out there. There are times when you look at Miami, they're not as strong as they've been. Bam has had a pretty good year. Tyler Hero's been okay, but the danger about that team is how well Jimmy Butler performs in crunch time.
Especially in the playoffs, right? I mean, I'll even take it a step further. I mean, that's my choice. If you ask me, it's the Heat, but Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, right? He's not even a player, but he scares me, right? I mean, in the best of 7 series going up against Joe Mazzulla. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be, impossible for Joe Mazzulla, to go up that hill and knock off the Heat, but you have to. I mean, you look back, and that was a heck of a chess match between Ime Udoka and Eric Spoelstra last season. So I'm expecting the same. I mean, he's that good of a coach, one of the best, if not the best, depending who you're talking to, in terms of, revered coaches in the NBA. He's right up there with Popovich.
Well, you just opened it up. You just opened up, Josue. What the hell was Ime doing at the game in Los Angeles? You sent me this picture of Ime Udoka at the basketball game. What is he doing there?
Yeah, he's trying to get back in the social circle, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's got something. He's discussing a little something with one of those organizations.
Both those teams you think about. are very solid with their coaching. Darvin Ham, who I talked to before he got the Lakers job, I said, don't take that job. He took it. And you think about
hold on, Max. Before you finish, though, why did you say that? Why did you tell him that?
Well, I told him because I just thought it was going to be a mess. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. And it
Well,
was.
yeah, that, but also because how many coaches have coached LeBron James for a year or two?
Well,
LeBron
James, and then you looked at Westbrook was there. So they hadn't found a recipe to remove Westbrook. Now, Westbrook has been, with the Clippers, been really good, but with the Lakers initially, that was tough. And now the Lakers are playing much better. And you look at the Clippers, I think they're solid still with Tyronn Lue. So
yeah,
just kind of funny to see him in that environment of two teams. I think they have real solid coaching staffs, unless he's coming back right now as maybe an assistant coach. But are you willing to go up that hill again if you Ime?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to turn down that kind of opportunity and then never get it again, you know. So I would assume so. So maybe that's something that's in the works right now. But I mean, the fact that he's out in California, I think that's the part that, you know, didn't surprise me at all. I'm like, man, I wouldn't be shocked if he hasn't been in Boston since, you know, last summer because of everything that unfolded. But you know, it's his first public appearance.
What you wanna have theater, because you always like theater. What happens if Ime comes to the first Celtic game, playoff game? It's in the crowd. Ooh, is that going when your moment's going?
Yeah, I mean, if the Celtics win it all this year, he gets to probably stand an ovation because that's just how Boston is.
No, I ain't talking about.
If they don't win,
I'm not talking about coming to. I'm just saying he comes to the first playoff game the Celtics play.
Oh, okay. So like in the next week or two.
What's the rumor mill with you and the top reporter Bobby Manning? What are you guys gonna do? You guys gonna be going off if he was to show up in Boston for the first game after not being here at all.
But it wouldn't be anything negative. It wouldn't be a negative connotation. It would just be like, man, I'm shocked he's here.
That's what I'm saying. You would be shocked, and you would be doing your Josue, you know, having your phone in your hand, you're just waiting for.
Nah, Max, let's say what up.
Wait for some shit to jump off. Wait a minute, hold on. There's Ime doing something. So I think
probably have one eye on him and one eye on the court. That's true.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty fascinating. But no, I mean,
Good for him though, Max. You know, I'm glad he's out in the public again.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think that you have to insert yourself in LA. I think it's the easiest place to insert yourself because there's so many stars out there, and people don't even recognize you or what you're doing at a game. It's just like, oh, there's such and such. There's Denzel. There's this person. There's that person. So if you're in a crowd at a Laker game, you know, it's completely different than maybe being in the crowd at a Boston game. Considering that I saw everybody yesterday going crazy over Flav. What the hell was Flav doing in the damn?
Everyone pulled up to this.
I know you weren't there. You took your day off. I heard
the one night I take off, and oh man, the who's of I don't know, any different type of whatever you're into. It was Flava Flav. There was a little bit for everybody. It was what's his name? Zappy, the quarterback, Patriots quarterback was there. There was a little bit for everybody there. Jeez.
Yeah, it was. But Flava Flav to be in the building was just like
so random.
I mean, but just so random. Like you know, you've seen random things before, but that was one of the most random sightings I think I've seen of the Boston Celtics game. They have
Celtics and Raptors game for no reason, like not even a playoff game. Like
Flava Flav in the second row of a Celtic basketball game. Sean almost
up to him.
Sean Grandy almost spit his gum out because he was like, because that's his era. That's his genre.
There. That is his era. You know how I know that? Because Granny stays with the shell toes, man. Like he will. That's his shit. Adidas. Mm-hmm. He's with the stripes all the time. So I'm like, man, that's the best sign right there. That someone's all about that '80s hip hop, and you know.
Yeah. He was like, this is one of
That's
the
what's up.
most influential rap people or groups that was, ever crossed. And, the thing to me that was really crazy was looking at all the kids that, which they have these things now, these medallions, these big gold medallions with
Yeah, what's up with that? It's like a new thing this
you
year. That's
know,
true.
that's a Flava Flav move. He had yesterday a diamond clock on around his neck, and it
With the
didn't look
Viking hat?
yeah, and it didn't look unusual. Before it looked unusual. We know when you have a guy with that big, now
Yeah.
kid in the garden has that, and I'm not sure who came up with that chain to sell them. It was a brilliant move because everybody's selling them things. I think Sean was saying those things are being sold for $50 a whop. I'm like, what? That fake ass gold and that big whatever it is.
We used to buy those in the vending machine, man.
I wouldn't allow my kids to put that around their neck because I'm sure that shit will be green later on. Nah, that ain't right.
Yo, Max, back in my day, we used to rock the fake jewelry. You know what I mean? Like the fake iced out chains and whatnot. Nowadays, these kids, and they're paying more than we did for this plastic jewelry, I guess is the new thing.
Yeah, and it's now
crazy.
Every player iced out and
oh no, those are real. But back in the
Yeah.
day, I feel like kids don't even wear the fake jewelry anymore, man. I used to have like the chain, the cross that was like this big hanging across my chest, man. I was like, what, 13, 14 years old?
Wait a minute. The cross you could have put Jesus on would have been, I was on your neck. Okay. It was that big.
Yeah, Jesus had all the diamonds, all the rhinestones all over his face.
Oh, gosh. My goodness. Yeah, but
I got to take pictures one of these days, Max.
We digress. We'll get back.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, man. Another episode.
Yeah, but we'll talk about, you asking me before, we were just touching on like coaches of the year. Some of the awards that the NBA is giving out.
Yeah, we can get into that. Let's get into the FanDuel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get into the FanDuel. The odds for some of these awards that'll be handed out within the next few weeks or so. In this episode, of course, the Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. And new customers in Massachusetts can get in on the action. Like I said at the top, I mean, right now it's that time of the year, Max. A lot of teams starting off there. It's a lot of baseball teams kicking off the regular season. And, man, you can win big money with FanDuel. Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back. And there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official partner of Major League Baseball. And new customers in Massachusetts can get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at fanduel.com/Boston. Finally, you can bet on your favorite sports from the money line to point spreads to player props and more. Man, what I also love about this app in particular is the different ways you can bet and the in-game betting. All right, so even if the game already started, you can still make money, and of course, you can make the watching experience that much more exciting with FanDuel. So bet on the app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. FanDuel, don't miss out on your chance to get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Visit fanduel.com/Boston and make every moment more.
Okay.
Just to remind you guys, of course, 21 plus and present in Mass. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And got a problem? Hope is here. Don't worry. Gambling helpline ma.org, or you can call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. All right, guys, remember that. GameSense Mass, that's GameSenseMA.com, or call 1-800-GAM-123.
Look at you. Look at Josue with the big brain reading all the disclaimers. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's not my first rodeo, man. It's not my first rodeo.
I guess that's the case. Well, since you've gone there, let's go on and talk about, coaches of the year.
Who you got?
Joe Mazzulla should get some prop here. You should get some run. But to me, it's probably going to be Mike Brown out in Sacramento. Hands down. Now, if you're asking me right now, and if you could vote on it, I would say, and you know what, FanDuel, I'd say Mike Brown, because it was I think Sacramento, they had not been in the playoffs in 16, 17 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And for him to have that team solid, and nobody saw them playing this way. Sabonis has been great. I mean, you look at their players who they got rid of. Halliburton leaves that team. De'Aaron Fox has been sensational. I think they would. I would have to say he would be my choice for Coach of the Year, Mike Brown.
Okay, all right. You know what? We're in the same boat then. Man, this is a team that's been just itching to get to the playoffs, Max. Just the playoffs. The last 2-3 seasons, and he took it up a whole nother level, man. Like a top team in the Western Conference, a fan base that's just been waiting to see playoff basketball again, and to get so many young guys to buy in. It's funny. Recently, I spoke to Kyle Draper about it, who's out there. He does play-by-play for the Kings now, and he even said, like, he's been the one saying, "Look out for the Kings, look out for the Kings." But he was like, "Man, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, man. I just thought they would make the playoffs. I wasn't expecting this." But that's how good Mike Brown's been to get these guys focused. Because as you know, Max, you've been around the league long enough. It's not easy to get a bunch of 25 and under guys to play like a team and focus on one goal. But that's what they've been doing out in Sacramento.
Yeah, they played extremely well. I was very pleased. I think that Jaylen Brown was all NBA, and that to me,
better.
I think he's going to be. And I tapped him on the shoulder the other day. I said, congratulations. One thing that happens with him is it becomes now he could sign a new deal for almost a super max of $250 million. And but there's been so many whispers about, will Jaylen stay? Will he commit to this team? Will they win it? How many championships can they win if those two wings stay together? It's going to be fascinating to see what he does at the end of the day, because the thing that you understand about him is he's not moved as much by money as most players. It's more about principle. And I think the Celtics have tried to, and this year, they've done more things to, I think, make him comfortable. Even the Red Auerbach Award.
I was wondering if you're going to bring that up.
Okay. All right.
You think that's why they did that, though? You think that's?
I don't think that's why they did it. But
See, we love you, Jaylen.
It does not hurt to step out and give a guy like that who's a franchise changer an opportunity to hear something from the crowd and the organization. If I had to pick the Red Auerbach player, I probably would have picked Derek White instead. Derek White's going to play, and I talked to him the other day. He's going to end up playing 82 games this year. How many players have you seen in this league that have gotten to 82 or 80? He has a chance to do that, and that's Red Auerbach. That's all Red Auerbach there.
Well, especially when you consider the thing that the shit that this dude has gone through, right? Remember the concussion in Charlotte? He had the what was the other thing I forgot? Well, he twisted I think it was his wrist.
He twisted his ankle.
That's what it was.
He got hit in the head, was taken out.
Came back and played.
Froggy, yeah. It was one time I was wrong about him. I said, oh, you won't see him at the next game. Lo and behold, he comes back, because I was thinking concussion protocol alone is going to keep him out. So if there was a Red Auerbach, the Red Auerbach Award, what that was like, it had Derek White all over it. But it's not a bad choice to put Jaylen, and just to show Jaylen love.
Yeah, no question. And I just think it's one of those things where it's like, man, what he's been doing lately, when you look at the best scoring duo in the NBA, the Celtics aren't number one anymore, but they held down that spot for most of the season, right? And it's one of those things where it's like, wait, how does he not get it, right? Like, at least one of these teams, you can like, sure, there's a lot of power in the voters, right? Obviously. And maybe some of them can go with the classic names because of that name alone, and maybe players that hadn't played, no more than 60 games, get a vote or two.
But
when you look at the
look
numbers
at
and what
the record, though. Look at the
yeah,
record.
and I was going to say that too.
Look at the team record, how the
Right.
Celtics have played and where
How
they're at.
important he is to
How
that team.
important
Right.
he is. Yes. Yes.
Especially since after the All-Star break, when, let's face it, there was a stretch where Tatum just didn't have it every single night, but Jaylen was super consistent, you know, and I think there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
And just the numbers, man. The numbers, they speak for themselves, man. You know, like nearly averaging 30 points, you know, shooting closer to 50%, over 40% from three, you know, the assists and rebounds. I mean, he just checks all the boxes.
Isn't it funny how the fan base a lot of times doesn't know what they want until they get it? Because when Jaylen Brown was drafted, Jaylen Brown was they literally booed that pick. They were not convinced that he was that dude. And he has won them over big time, won everybody over with his ability to be so explosive. I think that if there's one thing you look at him, it's just sometimes his handle gets a little squirrely. Now, when he gets in the crowd of people, he has to make sure he gets that turnover ratio down. But other than that, he's really been solid. He's been a highlight package almost every single night he's ran out on the floor.
Definitely, absolutely. And look, I've been saying this from the beginning since this you know, since the interview and the New York Times piece and all that, the Ringer piece came out. Winning changes things, right? It changes the narrative. It changes your mindset. And I just see Jaylen as, like, if that's the case and something's go on and win the championship, I just find it hard for him not to make all NBA, which will give the Celtics the opportunity to you know, give him the Supermax deal, and two, not have that urge to go out and win another one, right? Because that's always the conversation. Well, can they do it again? How many championships can they?
Let me stop right there. Let me ask you this question then. Well, why did Kevin Durant leave?
Oh, because
wait a minute. You just said the narrative is winning a championship. He won multiple championships while he was there in Golden State. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know what? Peace out. I'll holler at you.
Because the narrative changed after you win multiple championships, Max. I'm talking about the first one. There's no way in hell Durant would want it out after 1 year.
What narrative changes when you win multiple championships and you got a possibility of winning, you know, 2 or 3 more? If he had stayed
for Kevin Durant, that's not your
Durant
team.
had stayed
you picked the easy route. That was the narrative, Max.
What?
That wasn't your team. You picked the easy route. You could have beat those guys. That was the narrative. He couldn't take that because he's sensitive.
Wait a minute. You can't take winning championships. Well, he proved that he was on the big stage when he was the Finals MVP, not once, but twice. So you talk about your team. I don't know where you have to go, but you look at what he was able to do during that time, and you're going, why did he leave?
He was never crowned the greatest player in the NBA. He was never crowned as that's his team, and he hated that narrative, so he left. He hated what people were saying online.
I hate that I won. Whoa, wait a minute. I hate that I won a championship. I hate that
I know. It's crazy, Max.
I hate that I won the Finals MVP twice, and that's why I'm making this thing now. If the Celtics win, will that motivate Brown to say, look, I want to stay here and I want to win another one? I know he has great teammates. The organization loves him. The fan base loves him. But there's something in there that you kind of keep hearing little rumors and little snippets about, you know, him being a little uncomfortable and not feeling, you know, the love the way, you know, we thought he'd be feeling the love.
Yeah, I mean, there's the trade rumors. I mean, we could put that in there as well. I mean, that doesn't help. You think Kevin Durant ever heard his name in trade rumors? No. Well, only when he asked for one. Only when he asked for one. Yeah.
Well, you've heard people talking about trade rumors, but that I keep saying to players, understand, if you were being mentioned being traded for Kevin Durant,
that means you're good.
Players maybe they ever play the game. It's not a slap. You got to understand that this is purely business. It's all about business. It's about winning championships and winning titles. Right. So, and I think that despite all that you talk about, trade rumors, he's had a sensational year when you think about the possibility of being all pro. I just think that, man, that's just the coolest thing when I think about who he is and what he's done.
Yeah. I always say, Max, from the very beginning, every single year, Jaylen gets better. And this year is no different. It's incredible. It's impressive. I mean, you can't say that about most players when you're 7 years into your career.
No doubt about it. I mean, but that's the solid nature of this team. All right, what else you got over there?
MVP. Let's get right to the big one. Let's get to the one that everyone talks about, the one that every NBA player dreams of. Joel Embiid is number one, according to Fanduel. He's got the best odds.
Josue,
he's number two. The Joker is number two.
Cut the shit, Josue. Cut the shit, would you?
Number three is Giannis.
You know, why are you going there? And I know you're doing Fanduel. I love you, Fanduel, but damn, let's cut this shit. Cut to the chase.
Convinced you, huh? Joel convinced you out.
Wait a minute. Doc Rivers said it the other day after that 50 plus game that he had against the Celtics. He said the MVP racing. He said that's over. It's done. It's done. It's Joel Embiid and nobody else. This year he wins it.
I subscribe to that.
Go to FanDuel all you want to with your money right now and say Joel Embiid. Put your money down on Joel Embiid because he is going to win that unless Joker comes up with 100 points in the game. I can't see. I mean, in this last month, Joel Embiid has surged away from the Joker. I know he had he had a misstep when he was in Denver and he didn't play in that game because he had a heel injury. But other than that, Joel Embiid has been on the big stage. That game against the Celtics on national TV, game starts at 8:00 at night, and he drops a 50 piece on you. He just a 50. Is your 50 piece on you?
50. He put 50 on him.
Oh, he did it with style, bro. He was
20 or 25 on the floor. Man.
He was in jump shots, dunks, block shots. He showed it right now. He's one of the best in the game, but he also showed me that Philadelphia had to get 50 points from him to barely beat the Celtics
with no Jaylen.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what that says to me about Philly's chances against the Celtics.
Doc was like, that man just scored half our points. Like, he wasn't lying, man. He wasn't exaggerating. Matter of fact, he scored more than half, technically, right? Because they finished with 102. Oh, man, unbelievable. And the difference between someone like that and Giannis is he can score from all over the floor, right? You look at his shot chart, and all of it was inside the arc. He didn't have to step out behind the arc to get a couple threes going. No, he got cooking from inside the arc, going into the paint, obviously getting to the free throw line, and you couldn't stop him, man. The footwork was
incredible,
incredible. And you think about the way Celtics played Giannis, and there's a big difference because Giannis can't do that. He can't score from the mid range. He can't score all over the floor.
Well, Giannis is inconsistent from out there, whereas Joel Embiid is like, and when he turned the corner one time and he went by Grant so fast, Grant Williams, and Grant does a pretty good job of staying in front of him. He went around Grant so fast, it's like Grant had nails in his shoes, and he dunked it. He dunked it so hard, and Luke Cornett, poor Luke was there, and he got dunked on. I mean, all Joel Embiid was saying is, like at the barbershop, Josue, when you're there, who's next? Who's next?
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. He's also showing you just how hard he's got to go in order for the Sixers to beat the Celtics, which is the first win of the season against the Celtics. They finished the year 1-3.
You think about where he's come from and what he's done to have Harden, and essentially, supposedly one of the best players in the draft at that time. He goes up to Brooklyn, and what has he done? I mean, that kid literally has, Ben Simmons is falling off the face of the earth. It's like he's not even a basketball player anymore. I remember somebody said that to him. It was either Barkley, it was a Shaq, or somebody said, son, go find your love for the game again. Go find
No, who was it? It was Garnett. Garnett said it.
Okay, Go find your passion for the game.
I love that.
And really a real cool cool moment. I mean, you should have been there You should have been there last night because you'd had the chance to talk to your guy, Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Isaiah was there. That's another guy. I was trying to remember. There was somebody else there. Yeah.
How do you take the day off like that?
No, what you think? We get a heads up for stuff like this, man? You think the Celtics email us and be like, "Yo, man, Isaiah, Flava Flav, you don't want to miss tonight, man." I had no idea, man.
Just wait, you're there by chance. You know you are a by chance person. So how your biorhythms was off, but that particular game to take your night off is
that's a good point.
And your guy Ahmed, he kind of threw you out there and said, "Well, I gave Josue the day off because this game right here, it really isn't going to be that important." and you get a game like that.
No, Ahmed gave me a choice, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather go Friday, Sunday. You know what? So all right. If you twisted my arm, all right then. Okay, I'll take the night off.
I get it.
When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you can handicap the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Something I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because of its ideal matching system. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to U.S. Indeed data. With Indeed, matching as soon as you sponsor a post, you can get a short list of quality candidates whose resume on Indeed match your job description. Boom, it's hiring at warp speed. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job and we'll match you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description right when you post. With Indeed, you can start hiring fast. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/Cedric to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/Cedric. That's Indeed.com/Cedric. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
So all right, defensive player of the year.
What?
Jaren Jackson's leading. Defensive player of the year. According to Fanduel, Jaren Jackson Jr. leads the pack. But not by a lot. Brook Lopez is right on his heels, and then Bam Adebayo closes out the top 3.
That's kind of an interesting one that
right?
you talk Jackson, because Jackson was hurt early in the year. He blocked shots.
He was. He led the league in blocks.
Where's your MVP this year? I mean, you think about that great block that Joel Embiid had. It gets your guy from I'm forgetting his name. I cannot forget him. From Memphis, John Morant. John Morant comes in.
That's right. He got John.
Joel Embiid meets him at the apex. So I don't know. I mean, those are interesting names. Jackson. If I had to go with one, a lot of
games though. Yeah.
If I had to go with one, I probably would say Jackson. He's done a good job defensively. He's blocked shots. He's run the floor. And then you look at Memphis's record and how well Memphis played really without John Morant.
Yeah.
Jackson really took the reins over defensively and offensively.
All right, yeah, I'll probably go with Jackson too, just because I feel like ever since like the post All-Star break, while the Bucks have been, they had that huge winning streak, and obviously they've held down the number 1 spot. But like Brook Lopez defensively took a step back. I don't know if it was just a little bit of bored or if he's just waiting for the playoffs, but you know what? I'll give it to Brook. Let's get 2 different answers here. I'll give it to Brook. The Bucks are number 1.
Am I going off kilter here when I hear them talk about John Morant? And somebody said they call him John Wick.
John Wick, yeah. That's a nickname. The internet. The internet gave him that. The internet is undefeated, man. And they came up with that shit the same night. Like, it was insane. Like, I woke up to seeing that meme. Like, what?
John Morant is John Wick. I was like, God,
John Wick.
oh, John
With
Wick. And
with the
just like
piece.
it is that the league is still fascinating. Now you have to, as you said, you want to get to this FanDuel thing and talk about this thing or not.
One more. And the reason why is because I think this award should go to a Celtics player, and that's a sixth man of the year. But according to FanDuel, Emmanuel Quickley, who's been leading the pack, still up, not by a lot, but he's leading Malcolm Brogdon.
But he's been starting a lot of games. Brogdon hasn't
Yeah.
started as many games.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Quickley came in, dropped whatever was on the Celtics.
Ever since then, Max. Yeah, he started starting
He's
games.
been starting, but if the league tends to favor wanting something happening good, something good for the Knicks, maybe Quickly, but I would definitely say that to me it would probably be, I would go with Brogdon. Brogdon's been that good, and you look at the record of this team. Malcolm Brogdon has been that good as a player.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not just what he does on the floor, right? It's what he's saying off the floor. The way he's been easily one of my favorite guys to interview or ask questions, because he's just so thought provoking in his responses, and he's very, he's going to say how it is. He doesn't sugarcoat it, and I love that about him, because I just think that was such a missing part of last year, right, man? If this team has someone like that, they probably win it. I really do think he's that important, especially in points throughout the season where, the team lost 3 in a row and it seemed like the sky was falling. He always managed to sort of right the ship, coming off the bench, just leading by example for sure.
Okay, I got it.
All right, Max, let's wrap up this episode with the talk of the week. Ever since the NCAA national championship, women's national championship, man, everyone's been talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and her you can't see me retaliation, if you will, the national championship.
You tell me what you think
by double digits.
You tell me what you think about it, and then I'll go from there.
All right,
I might be on a different page.
So my thing is, I just think the whole thing was blown out of proportion in a sense of, oh, man, how could you do that to her? And that was so unsportsmanlike. Okay, I agree with that. I do. And for a couple of reasons. One, because of when she did it. I felt like it was sort of like, okay, it's at that point in the game where the cameras are on us. We all kind of know what's going to happen here. The game's wrapped up. The game has been wrapped up for a while, though, right? They're up by double digits, right? And then she decides to do it, and then she decided to talk her shit. I didn't like that. I think it's way more. It's organic when you just make a big play or turn around. You know what I mean? Like a 8-0 run, and you're up by 5 and whatever. That's different. You can't control that. That's just your emotions. But I feel like she can control this one. She kind of wanted to show out, and she wanted to embarrass her, obviously. And I think it was. I'm not gonna say classless. I mean, whatever the term may be, right? Okay, it was unsportsmanlike, right? But if this is a guy who did this, it's not front page news. There's the racial component in it as well. I think that's part of it as well. But I don't agree with what she did. But I just think the thing was blown way out of proportion.
Well, I like what you said about that in the fact, and I'll hark back to something Michael Jordan said, and I think it was PJ hit a shot against their team when he was with Charlotte, and they won. They beat
BJ Armstrong.
BJ Armstrong.
Yeah.
Charlotte against Michael Jordan's team late and to win the game. And Michael Jordan was so mad. He said, "Yeah, you want to talk shit when you're up?" He said, "It's more impressive to me when you see a guy and he's talking shit when he's down or the scores."
Yeah. So it's easy to talk when you're up. Yeah,
I do agree. I do agree with that. Everybody coming to her rescue as if she needs it.
Yeah,
and then you say the component of it is black and white. It's a racial thing. No. When do we? And hell, I'm a player like that, so I've done things before. But when do we? When do we celebrate bad behavior? Why is it that it's okay?
Yeah.
Where's a little sportsmanship in the game? The biggest thing I felt, I've heard a bunch of people go on and say, well, this is what she did to me. This is what she did to other players.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
Just how many times your dad said you or your mom said to you, and you're going, well, Joel did it. And damn it, don't tell me what somebody else did. Right. You hold yourself at a standard.
Right.
We talk about the championship. Those girls had never won at LSU. Congratulations. I was happy they won. I was happy to see the way she played. But
and now no one's talking about that.
The narrative went from talking about them winning their first championship to her talking about, I'm a hood girl, and you guys say I'm this, I'm that, and that. I said, you know what, hon, let me give you a snapshot here. They talk about everybody. They talked about Jesus. But you go out and you just play the game. And you let your numbers do the talking. You let your championship do the talking for you. I've been, people would say, well, how can you say that, Max, when you walked across the free throw line with James Worthy? I knew, my God, I'm here to get this and have, give him the choke sign during the game. Well, we were not up in that game. That was a close basketball game. And I was just trying
to the heat of the moment, Max. It's the heat of the moment. You're not thinking, oh, I'm going to do this because the camera's on me. Right, no, it's because you're pissed. You're into the game. Right.
I'm right there in the game. So I'm sure people say, well, how can you talk about that when you played against the Lakers? You played against this team and that team. But I also know when the Celtics lost to the Lakers in '85, I went to the locker room after the game and congratulated them on winning the championship. Here in Boston in front of me, I knew that was going to probably be my last game in the Celtic uniform. So I just think that in those terms, for me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I know Shaq has come up and said it was okay. Stephen A. Smith, oh my God, this is how can you persecute this girl and that. No, Stephen A. It's not. If you are a champion, keep yourself at that level. That's what you are. You don't go down to the level of the next person and you don't say, well, she did this and so, it was okay. No, it's not a black and white thing. It's just a class thing. It's not, it wasn't, I'll agree with the people who were saying that. It's just not a classy move for a classy organization to win a championship, and it took away part of that. Now, there's another side, and that what it did was it created a firestorm about women's basketball. And on top of that, I heard another guy say something which I would have came to Reese's defense, where the guy said, well, Caitlin's going to be dropping 30 when she gets into WNBA. And Reese, she's going to be flipping hamburgers 2 years from now. That was like, where'd you come with that?
But you get what I mean, man. There's a racial.
There was some shit that went down. Yeah, there was some shit that went on, that I didn't like, but it also, what she did, she sparked a conversation in doing, and you could see some of the hatred that came out for her. What did they have to do? Like I said, I didn't even understand where the guy went with that. Yeah, Caitlin Clark is going to be a monster. The way she shoots the basketball in the WNBA. But I don't think the other girl's going to be next week be flipping hamburgers at McDonald's or Wendy's or someplace. I think she still has.
That's crazy, man.
She's a great basketball player for the WNBA. So it's going to be a nice little, almost like the you think about it this way. Was this a Magic Johnson, Larry Bird moment when they played against each other in college?
A modern day version, yeah.
There was a
millions of viewers, absolutely.
Racial component about that people, saw and they put it to that. And hell, I was the first one to receive it once Larry got here. I'm that race ass black guy who's saying white guy can't play, and I received the brunt of it. when Larry Bird stepped on the court the first time with me. But yeah, that harked back to me to the Magic Larry Bird game that they had Michigan State versus Indiana State in college.
Right. But look, the difference in this situation, right, is let's talk about the casual basketball fan who just found out about Caitlin Clark 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, they love it. It's she's great. She's got attitude. She shows it, and things didn't go her way in that championship, right? And if you're looking from afar, or you're seeing the headlines, or you're seeing the highlights, and there's so certain people out there who will see someone like Reese and say like, man, that girl is just, how could she do something like that? She's embarrassing her. There's so many millions of people watching this, but not understanding that there's a whole nother component to this, man. Like the competitive nature and the fact that, Kaylee had done it before. I just feel like there's a lot of people who jumped the gun. I mean, shit, fucking dude from Barstool, El Prez or whatever, man, he was like, what did he say? Oh, man, I forget exactly what he said, but it was something like, it was ridiculous. He was like, oh, it was you classless piece of shit. Classless piece of shit. Max, how many times have you ever described someone a piece of shit? Like, that's insane. Like, don't so like
and you still
there's a racial component there, man. Like,
Barstool? Let me ask you, does he own Barstool?
Yes, the president. No, that's embarrassing, Max.
That's embarrassing to your.
So then when Reese goes out and says, "Oh, when I do it, I'm a ghetto black girl," whatever. Absolutely, I can't help but that's what people are thinking. At least that's what the attitude was. Someone just called you a piece of shit. It's like, geez, that's incredible. How many women basketball games do you think this guy's watched? But that was enough for him to say that. Like, it's incredible.
Probably the first time he's ever seen a women's basketball game, and just went, But it was, like you said, it had components of a lot of different things. And LSU was a better team. Caitlin was super and maybe it takes the women's game to another level. With those two. I mean, if they met again and they're on each other's schedule. But then you heard the other thing that kind of bothered me was I think that Reese was upset because Jill Biden.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
One of both teams. Our first lady wanted both teams to come. And normally it is the winning team which is invited to the White House. It's not the losing team. I've never heard of a losing team being invited to the White House. And I've been on championship run teams and I've never been invited to the doggone White House after I lost a championship. Is more.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is, Max? Because Joe Biden loves herself some Caitlin, Caitlin. That's why.
He loved herself some Caitlin, and Caitlin is an American darling that happens to be playing in a league that desperately needed some attention. And it was Iowa, as white as they could be,
I was just gonna
versus Louisiana State, which couldn't have been any blacker. It's just like
LSU pulled up.
Yeah, it smelled. It's like LSU pulled up in a hoopty and had gold chains on, and these girls from Iowa just stepped out of a cornfield on the tractor. So it was just like
step dances and whatnot.
Yeah,
doing their routine.
Yeah, we're gonna do step. We're gonna be stepping over here. The other girls, they're doing a circle dance from Iowa.
Right.
So
And look, Angel she brings up a good point, man. Like no one batted an eye when when Caitlin was doing this. No, it's not bad sportsmanship. It's look at her. She's got attitude. I
think that. But I looked at the play when she said that. Somebody said she waved the girl off. I looked at the play. It wasn't like that. They said she waved the girl off. She did like this. It was a girl who wasn't gonna shoot, and she said, "Shit. Go ahead, shoot. I'm not guarding you out there."
Right. You can't. I'm not scared of you.
It had nothing to do with her walking up to the girl saying, "You can't see me." That wasn't it. So I just found a lot of stuff, which was, man. Well, like you said, that sometimes if you make noise in your league, hopefully that's something that's good for women's college basketball that you look at and you're like, wow. And Don Staley, who, has been like unbelievable as a coach, loses.
She's goated.
And now I would have almost preferred what would have happened if Don Staley's team had played against LSU. I would want to see that matchup because you look at those girls down in South Carolina.
You would have been like,
no, girl, you must be damn it tripping. Your ass is tripping out here. You know that what somebody she damn tripping. Yeah, they would use the B word. I can tell you that. So wow, that just. But I again, there was so many components. But if you ask me at the end of the day, I did not like what she did. I'm confused by Jill Biden wanting to bring the losing team to the White House. I've never heard that. And then
I don't know, Max. I don't know if he's calling the shots on that one, but okay.
And then Reese saying, her saying, look, we ain't going to the White House. You want to make it, we going to see the Obamas. Girl, put a sock in it, please. Put a sock in it. All right. Like,
someone's gotta get Reese a publicist, man.
Yeah, you need to grab this chick real quick and say, yo, you just tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, but Max, how would you feel though? If you just won and you find out that they're inviting both teams? Would that sit well with you?
I wouldn't. I don't think I'd feel good. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I'd feel the type of way about it. I'd be like, what are we doing here?
I probably would have felt a way about it, like a losing.
I'd be like, you guys like her that much? Like,
yeah, a losing team. Well, Jill, if you wanna see her, why don't you have her over for lunch or something? You bring Caitlin down. You and her.
They have a breakfast, and we'll come by after.
You can't have the winning team and the losing team come on. Are they coming on the same day? Did they come on the same day? Do you open up a court on the White House lawn so they can finish this thing off?
Run it back.
How is it done? And I did happen to like what Caitlin said. Now, see, to me, Caitlin was
I was going to get to that too. I like
because
what she said.
She said, look,
I'll say it. I got it right here. I'll say it. All right. It's I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. She told ESPN on Tuesday. I'm just one that competes, and she competed. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. We're all competitive. We all show our emotions in different ways. Angel is a tremendous player. I have nothing but respect for her. I love her game. The way she rebounds the ball, scores the ball is absolutely incredible, and she just continues to gush over her pretty much. But
that's a great publicist right there. Yeah. Whoever talked to her gave her the right information.
Yeah,
that's what you do. And Reese, in the last moment, maybe again your emotions are raw, but just some of the things. But girls who look like me, who say there's too hood and that, and all y'all said this, and you wouldn't say nothing to her, and she was salty. She was. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody as salty winning a championship.
A salty winner, yeah.
A salty winner. That's a salty winner. Know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah.
You win, and you're going, okay, they were a tough opponent. That it wasn't even about it, and it wasn't even about their. It was more about what my coach always said is about me. It's I. It's I. They said I am. This is what they said about me. I. When we know that team sports is about the 5 people who are out there. It's about the team versus each other. And my coach used to say that. He said, you can't have that many eyes, Cedric, when you're talking about your UNCC Charlotte team and you're saying, well, I was hurt in my foot, but I decided. And he just circled all the eyes that I had in the conversation and said, look how many eyes you have, not about us. And that to me was something I looked at. So yeah, it was it had a lot of Atlanta housewives in it. That's what I was.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it was yeah, it was a little more Patrick Beverly, a little too bad Patrick Beverly for me. At the end of a game, trying to gloat a little bit. But yeah, just like I said from the top, Max, when we first started talking about this, it just seemed more of like a this is my moment. It's a dead ball. The cameras are where they're supposed to be at. It's go time. You know what I mean? Like it seemed planned out a little too planned out.
Yeah, it seemed too contrived at that moment.
Yeah. You can't have that,
Like,
man.
yeah,
Like,
all the cameras on me. I'm gonna walk by you. I'm gonna
right.
put my ring on show you where the ring
She did
is.
the whole thing. She knew she was gonna go viral. She knew she was gonna go viral. Like, you do that in the middle of a play when the game's really close. You may not go as viral. That might just be a highlight, but it's not going to be the talk of the day.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna do something, and you tell me, is this right? Steph Curry doing the good night, Celtics. How's that?
If he's a college kid, that might be a talking point, but we can't pretend like the woman part of that doesn't that's the bigger part here, right? I mean, people are like, oh, how could you embarrass that white girl like that? Oh no, everyone's watching.
Let me tell you the biggest
more
part.
About that, Max.
Let me tell you about the biggest part, and I talked to somebody else who was.
It's like Chris Rock once said, man, you can't. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody who was doing basketball, and they were doing it. It's at the what is it? The young ones that travel around the country, playing ball all the time, all over the country. Young kid, AAU.
Oh, the AAU, yeah, circuit.
AAU basketball. He said when that behavior is at the top, he said that behavior filters down to the bottom, and you get kids who try to emulate what she did, and it's not good for the game. That to me is, I think, one of the biggest points that I heard from somebody who was a AAU coach. They talked about that example of of what you want. So wasn't it the same kind of example? You think about how the girl played some game, and I'm not sure who she played for. They were doing the lineup where they were shaking hands, and the girl comes down and cold cocks the girl. It's her in the face. It's like, man, this is supposed to be women's basketball. They've taken it to a whole nother level.
It's interesting you bring up Steph Curry because she has a very similar game, right? She can shoot from deep, and that type of basketball is obviously, he changed the game with that, right? He changed the whole entire generation to thinking that you could take those shots and that's okay, that's acceptable. But Steph Curry is also a low key one of the bigger trash talkers, right? I mean, so those little things, those little remarks and stuff like that. It looks like Caitlin picked up on that as well. So she added that to her arsenal.
Caitlin's going to be, I'm going to be interested to see how that works in the WNBA.
Oh, the WNBA, man, this is huge for them. And you know what? If I'm a GM, I'm looking at Reese as well. I'm keeping my eye on Reese as someone that can, sell some tickets, be that defensive player that everyone wants to go and see. And
well, do you see her
that next time she plays Caitlin? So
let me ask you this though: when you look at their skill set, which one of those players is more skilled for the WNBA? And probably will be Caitlin. Because this chick pulled up one time from damn Steph Curry range. I'm like, did she shoot it from there and knocked it down? And then the step back jump. I'm wondering how Reese is going to be playing in WNBA as a power forward at 6'3". When you look at a lot of them girls in there, they 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
That they ain't taking no crap in there. I mean, you look at that and you're going, this is going to be interesting to see how her game goes to another level. So
definitely.
But guys, you know what? I know we've talked and
we went in.
Again, that's what we do. I'm sorry, but we always what do we do? We keep it at what?
We got to keep it on 100, Max. That's what we do here. So stuff takes time.
We're gonna tell you what we believe. We ain't gonna try to sugarcoat it. We're only stronger when you mash that like button, subscribe to our podcast and what we do. And I want to thank a lot of you, thousands of you for the Isaiah response when they had Isaiah.
Man. That was huge.
A lot of people responded to that, man. We had had a ball, and last night I happened to see Isaiah, and we were talking about Isaiah Thomas. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we had a podcast with him. The great Isaiah from the Detroit Pistons was one of our other podcasts that we have. So, want just to thank you guys personally for just hooking us up with the views and the likes and all that stuff. Cool.
Between the two episodes, because it's a two-parter, right? Between both of them, we're almost at about 100,000 of viewers and downloads. So it's incredible, guys. We appreciate the support, obviously, and because of that, in our next episode, we're gonna tell you guys how you can win this autograph jersey, Cedric Maxwell jersey. Also have another episode coming out before the end of this week, so stay tuned for that, man. And we'll explain all that in our next episode. We'll explain the giveaway and how you can win big for sure. But that's gonna do it for this episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. He is Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue Pavone. We'll check you guys out later this week. And stay tuned, obviously, to our next episode and how you can win that jersey, man. We'll see you guys then.